I was never the daughter you bragged about. Not to the neighbors, not to the church ladies, and certainly not to your friends at the country club. Growing up, I, Claire Martin, was the quiet one. Not by nature, but by force. Every time I spoke up, I was told I was being dramatic, selfish, or just plain wrong. My older sister Rachel was the shining star, the one who threw lavish birthday parties and hosted wine nights by 23. My brothers, Chris and Mike, were the achievers, lauded for their degrees, marriages, and steady jobs. Me, I was the reminder of everything my parents had wished they'd done differently. It wasn't always like that. When I was little, I used to trail behind my siblings, hoping to be invited into their games or conversations. I remember one Christmas when I made handmade gifts for each of them, painted frames with our childhood pictures. Rachel laughed and said, "Wow, thanks. Did you get this at a garage sale?" I pretended to laugh too. Chris didn't even open his, and Mike left his at our parents' house. I found it in the trash a week later. I learned to disappear. I did well in school, but no one came to my award ceremonies. I got into a good college on a scholarship and moved out as soon as I could. That should have been the start of something better. But the hurt followed me like a shadow. When I met Tyler, I didn't know what it felt like to be loved unconditionally. He was patient with me, even when I struggled to accept compliments or express needs. He came from a family where people actually talked to each other. I didn't know that was possible. I met his parents for dinner once and cried afterward in the car because his mom hugged me before we left. I tried, though. I tried to loop my family into my life again. I sent pictures. I visited during the holidays, always bringing thoughtful gifts. But it was clear I was a guest, not one of them. 2 years before my wedding, Rachel didn't invite me to hers. She made a vague excuse about venue limits, but our cousin with a criminal record made the guest list. When I confronted her, she said, "You'd make it awkward, Claire. You're always so sensitive." It broke me. I remember sitting in my car, staring at the dashboard, wondering how I had become so expendable. How being invisible could hurt so much. Fast forward to last year. Tyler proposed to me under a canopy of lights on a beach trip with his family. They all knew he was going to do it. His dad filmed it. His mom cried. His little niece hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're gonna be my auntie." I couldn't stop crying for hours. Happy tears, mostly. But some were from a place of grief, the kind that comes from realizing this was what family was supposed to feel like. When we started planning our wedding, I told Tyler I didn't want my family there. He hesitated, not because he disagreed, but because he knew what it meant. He knew how heavy that decision would be. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. "I don't want to spend my wedding day pretending," I whispered. So we didn't invite them. When I called my mom to tell her, she launched into a dramatic monologue worthy of a soap opera. "Claire, how dare you embarrass this family like this? People will talk." I almost laughed. Now she cared about what I did. "Maybe they should talk," I replied. "Maybe they should know how you've treated me." She hung up. A week later, Rachel posted a cryptic Instagram story about ungrateful siblings and bridezilla tantrums. Chris sent a long email titled, "Bridging the Divide," that basically boiled down to, "Get over it." Mike didn't say anything until he sent me a meme about being the black sheep. I blocked all of them. But they didn't stop. Aunt Diane sent me a long message asking me to reconsider. Reminding me that, family is forever. I wrote back, then maybe someone should have acted like it. As the wedding day approached, Tyler's parents helped us with everything. His mom altered my dress. His dad built us a wooden arch. On the morning of the wedding, his sister did my makeup while playing my favorite 2000s playlist. I stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized myself. Not because I looked different, though I did, but because for the first time, I felt chosen. Celebrated. Enough. The ceremony was small and beautiful. As I walked down the aisle toward Tyler, I didn't feel like something was missing. I felt complete. That night, Tyler held me close as we danced to our favorite song. "Do you regret not inviting them?" he asked. I thought for a moment. Then shook my head. "No, I thought I would. But I don't miss them. I don't miss begging for their love." He smiled and kissed my forehead. "Good. Because you deserve to be celebrated, Claire. Not tolerated. A week later, Rachel messaged me from a burner number. You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy. I stared at the message, then deleted it without replying. And I was happy. For the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing after people who never wanted me. I wasn't trying to squeeze myself into their narrative. I had written my own. They never showed up for me. So they didn't deserve a seat when I finally showed up for myself.